All right, Dr. Joe Dispenza on Chris Williamson's podcast on his YouTube channel, early 2024. On this video, we're listening to them talk about the sneaky ways stress enters our lives. So obviously, these guys have refined their character, their personality, to a point where they have to be mindful of small stresses and the little signs that creep into their lives unaware or unbeknownst to them, which means they must be living a great, refined life.
One of the common pitfalls that must get in the way of people is chronic stress. It's what we've spoken about earlier on. What are some of the ways that stress might show up in our lives that people don't realize? The sneaky, surreptitious ways that it comes and starts to niggle at our quality of life?
Well, just think about the emotions that are associated with stress. It's anger, it's hatred, it's violence, it's hostility, it's judgment, it's competition, it's control, it's envy, it's jealousy, it's insecurity, it's fear, it's anxiety, it's vigilance, it's hopelessness, it's powerlessness, it's guilt, it's shame. And psychology calls all of those emotional states normal human states of consciousness. Those are altered states of consciousness. So if you're feeling any one of those emotional states, more than likely you're having a stress response. The problem is we get so conditioned into it that we don't know how to feel any other way. So
That's pretty good, hey? Like all those negative emotions that he just listed off is a good indicator that you're under stress. So in my daily life, there's sometimes like I'm in traffic because I do delivery for my work. And you feel a little bit, I don't know, mildly not angry, but just disgruntled with an auntie or uncle slowing you down in traffic, like auntie, you're in the fast lane. It's supposed to be 100 kilometers an hour, but you're doing 80. You can do 80 in the slow lane, but no, you want to be in the fast lane. Thinking like that, that's an indicator that you're under stress. And for me, even though I'm in that situation, there's a few different scenarios that happen before I get into like feeling stress in that example. So, if I had a bad night's sleep and I did eat well for breakfast in the morning, I'll go out into that exact same situation and I still feel those emotions like, come on, auntie, what are you doing? Or uncle. And then my first thoughts nowadays, because I've been doing all this breath work and like self inflection, I just ask myself, apart from auntie doing what she's doing, why are you feeling that type of emotion towards a person that you don't know? And these are the streets of Sydney, which are usually like this, even at the best of times. So then I think to myself, did I sleep right last night? Did I eat properly? Oh, that's right. Last night I didn't get a good sleep, but this morning I did eat like the best way that I know gives me energy. And then I just put it down to my sleep. I'm feeling that way against auntie or uncle because I didn't sleep well. Whereas if I slept well and then didn't eat properly the way I'd like to, get out there, have the same emotions against auntie and uncle or uncle, and then I'll ask myself the same question: how was your sleep? What did you eat? My sleep was good. My eating wasn't up to what I would like to have been. Then I'll just blame it on me being in that stressful state because I didn't eat properly. And then Groundhog Day, replay it again because you can over and over again, sometimes multiple times in the same day, if not the same hour, 30 minutes or 15 minutes in Sydney traffic. You can run across these aunties and uncles any time of the day. repetitiously over and over again. So, exact same situation, but I've had a good sleep and I've had a good feed. Go out, see auntie and uncle driving the way that they do. No effect. No effect. I don't even have to ask myself the question because I'm not under stress. So for me, stress really comes down to your response to an emotion. Why are you feeling like strongly emotional at that time? It's because of something that you did or didn't do prior to that emotion. So whatever you prior to that experience. So whatever you've done or haven't done before, that will set you up to the emotions that you will or you won't have, which will set you up for responses that you will or won't have. So my best case scenario, go out in morning traffic, see auntie and uncle or some hoonhead driving erratically, and then they just don't occur to me. You know, sometimes I'll be driving around thinking, I haven't ran into auntie and uncle today. Or a hoonhead in a Toyota Hilux ute. But then I think to myself, can't be. I must have. It's Sydney. Which means I've been so chilled because I haven't been under any stress because of my preparation. The morning, the start of the day, the night before, doing all this good self-inflection stuff. And that's it.
I think we describe change in this work as being greater than your body, being greater than the body that's been conditioned emotionally into the past, and being greater than the body when it's programmed into a predictable future. Executing a will that's greater than the program, executing a mind that's greater than the body and moving it into the present moment takes a lot of energy and takes a lot of awareness, and you got to sit with it long enough to get good at it. So in order for you to change, you have to be able to move from that place of knowns, familiar past, predictable future, into the present moment, the unknown. Okay. To change is to be greater than your environment. Every person, every object, everything, every place has a neurological network in your brain because you've experienced it. Okay. So if you're not being defined by a vision of the future and you open your eyes and you plug yourself back in the three-dimensional reality, you see your coworker, you see your ex, you see your boss, you see your friend, you see your cell phone, you see the news, and then now the environment is actually controlling the way you're feeling and the way you're thinking. So now it's no longer your personality creating your personal reality. Your personal reality is creating your personality. Your environment is controlling the way you're thinking and feeling. So to change is to be greater than your environment, to not respond the same way, not to think the same way, not to act the same way in the same conditions, okay? And not be in the predictable future and the familiar past. You got to be in the present moment. It means overcome time. Okay. That's our model for change. When you're under stress, the arousal of stress hormones causes you to really feel like your body. The arousal causes you to put all of your attention on your body because you're the priority when you're in survival. When you're in survival and the brain is in the aroused state, your attention you're not going inward now. You get eaten. You can't get vulnerable. You can't drop your guard, like the video there. Drop your guard. You got to drop your guard to be vulnerable. But if you won't drop your guard, if the threat of the danger's out there, you don't want to go in. It's not time to create. It's not a time to go in. It's not time to learn. It's time to run, fight, and hide, right? So the arousal causes put all of our attention on the environment. And when you're under stress and you're trying to predict the future based on the past, you're obsessing about time, right? So if the change is to be greater than your body, to be greater than your environment, to be greater than time, and the stress hormones cause us to put all of our attention on our bodies, our environment, and time, it means when we're under stress and we're in survival, it's really hard to change. It's really not a time to change. It's time to run, fight, and hide. Okay, overcome the addiction to those emotions, lower the volumes in them, give people the application, and have them work with it. They're going to break an addiction. What happens when you break an addiction? You go through withdrawals. Come on, just a little suffering. Come on, just a little judgment. Just you got it. Come on, that's so. The mind is craving those chemicals. And so overcoming an addiction to something outside of us is one thing, but overcoming the addiction to the chemicals of the emotions that are within us that's a huge thing, right? And so it's funny because if you're addicted to something like, I don't know, sugar or caffeine, and none of these are, have your own belief on them, but if you're addicted to alcohol or whatever, or nicotine, and you say, I'm going to quit, and you say that with intention with your conscious mind. And then, I throw my feet up on the table, I grab a sugar donut and a cup of coffee, and I got, powder all around my mouth, and you're still trying to overcome it. Your body's going to say, start tomorrow. This is not a good day for you. Come on, one bite, everybody else is doing it. All of that. Those are the voices in our head that lead to the same choices, right? So, but if you truly broke the addiction to the emotion, to the substance, and you walked in, you could have the sugar or not have the sugar, or the coffee or not have the coffee, because you're not addicted to it, and there's no tug any longer.
The difference is that when it's something that's outside of you, one of the most effective ways to change behavior is to change your environment, right? So you say, hey, you can't eat the donut that isn't in your house. You can't drink the coffee that isn't in your hand.
Yeah.
Problem being, you have at a moment's notice the opportunity to access all of the sugar in forms of stress or resentment or anxiety or distaste or judgment or whatever it is that you want. That's always there. You have a permanently open cupboard of an unlimited number, 24 hours a day, when you wake, when you go to sleep, which is what's particularly insidious about it, right?
So they just switched the subject. They were talking about how stress, how we can, what were they talking about? The sneaky way stress enters our lives. In the way it's the same subject, but they went from like detecting stress, and you detect it by the emotions, negative emotions that you're feeling, the negative thoughts that you're thinking. That's the indicators that you're under stress. And then Dr. Joe switched to addiction. And it's linked because he talks about your past, like using your past as a reference for your present or future response. So the same the same process that occurs in your brain during addiction, so like if you got addiction to sugar, is the same process that occurs when you're under stress. Your brain is addicted in the same way to an actual substance as it is to previous experiences. It's kind of like a brain twister, eh? Like, think about it. If you get angry and your previous response was throw a ball at the wall so that it makes a loud noise or something like that, a violent throw at the wall. When you come to another stressful situation, the process in your brain goes back to that previous response, throwing the ball at the wall, exactly as it does to an addiction. Yeah? So they're two of the same things. I'm addicted to sugar. I want to overcome it. Now I'm here by myself after 7 days of no sugar. I see some sugar. I'll go back to that same response. I'm stressed out 7 days later without being angry, without throwing the ball at the wall. Now, been 7 days and then I can't control myself. I'll go back in an addicted way to throwing the ball at the wall. It's the same process. For me, overcoming addiction, they say that sobriety, being sober from a substance, isn't the opposite to addiction. So you have an addict with an addiction who becomes sober and lives in sobriety. You would suppose that sobriety would be the opposite to addiction. It's not. Connection to yourself and to others is the opposite to addiction. So you can overcome addiction just by one powerful emotion, and that powerful emotion is love. Whether you bring that powerful love for yourself out of your heart into your mind throughout your life to overcome an addiction. So, for example, I love myself so much, I'm not going to eat sugar. Not for 7 days, not for 21 days, not for 50 years. Forever, starting with today. One day at a time. So see how I'm going from addiction to sugar to sobriety because of self-love. And then some addictions are so powerful that you might not be able to love yourself out of it. So you have 12-step groups like AA, and it's the group, the tribe consciousness that helps to love you out of the addiction. So you go to those type of groups, you feel like you're not alone. You hear other people who have overcome your addiction, and you hear how their addiction, or when they were addicted, was a lot more powerful than how you are currently addicted. But they're saying that they're being free, sober, and connected to themselves and to life for so long that it inspires you. So you use their words, their testimony, their experience as a point of reference for your hopelessness. They once were hopeless like you in addiction or worse, and now they're saying they've been years free and connected. So you want that hope, and then you start hanging around them more. Eventually what happens, their stories inspire you and love you back to life. Then you start becoming connected to yourself through them at first. And then eventually you no longer need the group or the tribe. The group's love or the tribe's love to keep you connected, to keep you sober. Because the strength of your self-love for yourself has grown strong and has been built up during the time you've been loved back to life by the tribe. But you still go back to the tribe. One, for giving back, helping the tribe bring other people back into connection. And then sometimes when you're flat or low, or you just need a pick-me-up day or experience with the group, you'd go back then. So yes, people, addiction. Love is the key. Connection is the opposite to addiction. If you can't self-love yourself out of your addiction to connection, find a group that has had powerful experiences and has had a worse story than yours, but now living your dream. So their nightmare's a lot more scary than yours, but their dream, their normal life, is your dream.
Sure. And stress mismanages our attention. All right. So if you're addicted to an emotion and you're addicted to fear, there's going to be some person or some circumstance that you're going to put your attention on that actually is associated with that fear. And so the stronger the emotion you have to some person or problem, the more you pay attention to them. Where you place your attention is where you place your energy. Then you're giving your power away to that person. So lower the volume to that emotion. Overcome the addiction, you'll take your attention off that person or problem, and that's energy that's coming back to you, and it actually builds your own field. Now there's energy to heal. Now there's energy to create. There's energy to design a new future. So lowering the volume to the emotion, overcoming the addiction, is an art, because you go through that period of cravings where your body, which has been conditioned to be the mind, is telling you, "Come on, just one memory. Come on, just do it once." And if people are white knuckling it and they don't know what to do, then it becomes like withdrawals. Give them something to do. Let me replace this emotion.
So he talks about memory in your body, just like muscle memory when you're actually doing like muscle building exercise, trying to like get fit, and then you lay off for a while. But because when you were exercising, you were working out, you did enough work to build memory into your muscle. So when you go back after a long time of maybe you've gone on holiday and then you go back to the gym, your muscle has stored that memory from your previous workout days. So too, it's true with your emotions. Your emotions are stored in your body. And Dr. Joe is just talking about when you're in a clear state and you've been connected for a while to yourself, away from addiction, your body. So this is going back to talking about how stress can creep into your life, sneak its way back into your life. Your body still holds those memories of your addiction if you haven't released your body from it. And then I just told you how you release your body from it. You love yourself back to life, or you find a love tribe, specifically a tribe to do with the addiction that you're trying to move away from and connect yourself to yourself and to others. And then eventually the muscle memory, or the memory of those emotions stored in your body, will get released forever, and you'll create new memories. Same like new muscle memory. You'll create that when you build muscles in a way that you haven't built before. Anyway, people, that's the best place to leave off for today. Thank you, life. Life is the creator of all things. There's only one purpose to life, that is to create more of life. More of you, hopefully. You can't create it with your actual body, having actual children, because you aren't able to. You can create life by sharing your thoughts, sharing your experiences on platforms like YouTube. People need to hear your story. You. See y'all. Love y'all. Catch you on the next video.